the most extreme military training in the world, the Jaguar training course of the French Army. For 8 weeks, about 30 soldiers from all over the world undergo intense military training in the French Guiana jungle. This military training is known as one of the toughest in the world. Soldiers here no longer have an identity or rank. They are merely numbers for the entire training period.
Ça, fini. Moi, maintenant, c'est 16.
Before being thrown into the forest, the soldiers are put through 48 hours of strenuous exercise under the watchful eye of legionnaires. The aim? To eliminate the weak ones before even starting training.
Eyes open, eyes open.
But once in the Guyanese jungle, hell can break loose. On the menu, a muddy trail with 20-pound loads. Swimming against the current, hand-to-hand combat, shooting practice, obstacle course, races in the mangrove, hunger, fatigue, injuries, all of this in the stifling heat and 80% humidity. And before arriving at the end, the soldiers have to pass one last test. They must apply all they have learned to capture a dummy enemy base. If successful, they will earn the Forest Combat Section Leader badge, certifying their ability to fight and survive in one of the worst jungles in the world. Spetsnaz, live fire. There are about 15,000 of them distributed in different special operations units of the Russian armed forces. Subunits, such as the Alpha or the Vempel, can be dispatched all over the world with the sole aim of maximizing efficiency by any means. Known for their unusual training, only 2 of 10 candidates would make it through the selection process. But what is a typical day like? Well, they get up every day at 5:30 a.m. Getting up is usually done under the shouts of the commander, followed by a burst from an AK-47. This is followed by a 6-mile run over rough terrain with a full load of equipment on your back, weighing about 60 pounds, and combat courses while trying to avoid real bullets. And to finish the day, a set of fights with bare hands or real weapons. In short, a really testing training for the soldiers. The drills are performed until the sergeant gets tired of torturing you, or until you drop dead of fatigue in the field. It's important to note that death is not a valid reason to end the training, and death is never far when you train with Spetsnaz. One of the craziest exercises is wearing a bulletproof vest and being shot at with live ammunition from a distance of less than 6.5 feet. The goal? To learn how to manage stress. A training technique also used by the Sicilian Mafia, the Camorra. Another similarity with the Mafia: the numerous murders and acts of torture against the civilian population blamed on the Russian Special Forces, whether during the wars in Chechnya or more recently in Ukraine. Navy SEALs, 6 months in hell. Known for being the best special forces in the world, it was 23 of them who assassinated Osama bin Laden in 2011. They are capable of fighting on land, at sea, but also in the air. But before you can be a part of this elite group, you have to go through an extreme selection process where 80% of the volunteers do not make it to the end of the 6 months training. The training course is divided into 3 phases. First is physical conditioning. Students learn to work in teams and are subjected to intense mental and physical pressure. It is in this phase, at the end of the 3rd week, that Hell Week takes place. For 5 days, starting Sunday evening and ending Friday morning, the trainee soldiers run over 186 miles. Frequently wearing tires on their heads or carrying tree trunks. They will have to do a 15-hour obstacle course in the mud, paddle for 12 hours in a boat race, swim for dozens of miles, and do hours of physical training, all while being perpetually wet and cold. Of course, only 4 hours of sleep are allowed during these 5 days. And that's not all. During the second phase, the students will train to become combat divers. In the end, they are submitted to a pool proficiency test known to be extremely difficult. Aspirants are thrown entirely clothed into freezing water, with their hands and feet tied, and they must retrieve an object from the bottom of the pool and bring it to the surface. The goal? To resist drowning and extreme temperatures. So you get it. The Navy SEALs are extremely well-rounded soldiers. But at what price? Several students have died during this training, and the last tragedy occurred in 2022.